In this video, we're going to take a look at some more options for formatting pictures. We have already covered most of the options over in the Adjust group. Now we're going to take a look at the Picture Styles options. There are a few here that I didn't cover last time. They're relatively straightforward. Compress pictures. If you have a lot of pictures in your document, compress will make them smaller. Sometimes you insert a picture that's huge and you shrink it down. This picture that I've got inserted here was originally much bigger than the page, and I shrunk it down. When you shrink it down, all the original pixels are still there. So if your picture was 10 megabytes and you shrink it down, it's still 10 megabytes. It's taking up that much space in your document until you tell it that you want to compress the pictures. Then it will just make it that size, and it'll throw away any unneeded pixels. So you won't be able to go back to the original without going back and inserting it into your document again. You can also change the picture if you don't like the one that's there, and if you've messed it up with all of your formatting, you can reset it from here. So those are relatively straightforward. Then we got a bunch of picture styles here, and there is a More button here. So we've got a bunch of options here, and it does do a live preview for you. So all of these have to do with putting a frame around it and applying some special effects, cropping it to an oval. And some of them have reflections. There's a shadow on that one. We got some reflections going on up here. And so there's a bunch of presets. And if you find a preset that you like, you can just go ahead and click on it, and it'll automatically apply all of the formatting that it took. So this picture we've got right here now has been rotated some. It's got a reflection at the bottom. It's got a bevel around the outside. So 3 different formatting options were applied to this. So it can save you a little bit of time. Then we got some other options up here. If you want to have more control, you can specify a picture border. And you've got all of your theme colors here, plus the standard colors that are always there. And it's not making much of a change here because the default border is pretty thin. You can get rid of that completely if you want to. If you'd like to have more control over the colors, you can get this little hexagon here that has quite a few more shades. And if you don't think that's enough, you can go to custom here, and you can pick any one of the 16 million colors that are available in Word. So red can take on a value from 0 to 255, green can take on a value from 0 to 255, and so can blue. Okay, let's close that. Let's go back to picture borders again. You can change the weight if you want to, and you can change the type if you want to. So you can have dotted lines or dashed lines or some combination of the two. So that is the border. Then we've got picture effects here. And there are some preset ones here, just like we had over here. So these are all the different effects you can apply, and this does do a live preview. So we're going to pause over each one here, and over some of them anyway. And you can see a shadow showing up there. So they imagine the light is coming from different directions and just put a shadow around it. You can also do an inner shadow if you want to. It's kind of hard to see on this picture, but if you look carefully, you can see a little bit of change going on. And you've got some perspective options down here. So we have the shadow appearing behind it or below it. So those are your options for shadows. And if you don't like any of these, you can go in and customize it if you want to. You can also do reflections. So we've got short reflections. We've got reflections that are long, ones that are touching, ones that are separated a little bit, ones that are separated a little bit more. And again, if you don't like the defaults, you can go customize. We've got a glow option here. We've got some default colors and some default amounts. The further down you go, the bigger glow you get around your picture. And just like the other ones, you've got some more options here for colors and options for the size of the glow. You can do soft edges here. And you don't see much of a change here, but as we kind of work our way across and down, you're going to see bigger changes in the softening of the edges here until you finally get to the last one, and it ends up removing most of your picture actually. Then we've got bevels that give it kind of a 3D effect around the outside. And the last one is 3D rotation. You can go in here and you can rotate it and flatten it out or tilt it any way you want to. And just like with all of these options here, if you don't like the defaults, there's always an option down here to go down and customize it as much as you want. Then there's an alt text, and the alt text option lets you specify if somebody was reading your document using a screen reader because they were blind or they couldn't see well enough to read the document. The screen reader will read text just fine, but when it gets to a picture, what you have to do is you have to provide some alternate text. If you don't provide alternate text, then they're not going to be able to have any idea what the picture is. And Word here actually did a pretty good job of guessing what it is. It says a river running through a park. We can probably get a little more specific here. This is the 12th hole at Augusta National Golf Course, so that's probably what you could put in. And then when somebody gets this picture, they can't see it, but they can get a description of it. Okay, we've got some other options for arranging items on the page, and we will talk about those in another video.